As I've talked about in other videos, there are massive cuts coming to national monuments in the United States, notably for paleontology, Bears Ears National Monument and the nearby Grand Staircase-Escalante National Monument. These monuments span a length of time from the Carboniferous through to the Cretaceous and even the early Pleistocene. These sites have been a very important paleontological hotbed since the year 2000, and so I'm going to be covering what finds have come from there and just why they are so important and should be protected. We're going to start off with dinosaurs, looking at the over 20 species that have been found in the monuments, including many ceratopsians like Cosmoceratops, Utaceratops, and Diabloceratops. All of these ceratopsians are within just a few million years of each other, and so from this we're able to study how the species diversified and spread throughout a single environment over time, so we can understand the propagation of species in a changing world. The threat to fossils also threatens other dinosaur species like Rhiposaurus and Parasaurolophus, both of which were incredibly successful, being found as far away as Alberta. Without the research being done at Grand Escalante and Bears Ears, we lose a chance to study these species and understand how they spread across the land and how successful species today may or may not be affected by different changes in the planet. For apex predators, we have the tyrannosaurs Lythronax and Teratophonius. Combined with a third species from New Mexico, these represent the southern tyrannosaurs, which have been shown to have evolved and formed their own clade inside the tyrannosaur family. The evolution of a separate clade of American tyrannosaurs helps to show how these species diversified and kept their apex predator status. Similarly, we can apply this to how different species will begin to diversify as the world changes and how they may or may not maintain their status and their niches in the environment. However, we also have smaller species. Talos was a small troodontid, and Hagrippus was a 10-foot-long oviraptor saurian. These smaller species help us to see the diversity in the paleo environments, particularly as most species won't be apex predators. And so having a diverse selection of animals to look at, we can get a good cross-section of how the environment functioned from top to bottom. During the Cretaceous, this formation in Utah was the coast of an inland sea, and housed species such as sharks, rays, turtles, and crocodilians, all of which are alive today, meaning that the study of these species becomes very important. With the current environmental changes, studying the paleohistory of these species becomes even more important, as we're going to be able to try and understand how they would adapt to rising sea levels and a greater amount of shallow seas throughout all of the continents. On land, but outside of dinosaurs, the formation holds the only American mammals from the Santonian and Cenomanian periods of the Cretaceous. The study of these Cretaceous mammals helps us to understand how they were positioned so that they were able to become the dominant form of life after the KPG extinction that killed the dinosaurs. Moving to Bears Ears, we find that Bears Ears covers a great swath of geologic time, spanning both the Permian-Triassic extinction and the Triassic-Jurassic extinction. By studying the oxidation of the rocks and other factors from this period, we can begin to understand potential causes for extinction, such as the release of CO2 and other greenhouse gases. Additionally, Bears Ears covers through the late Jurassic, letting us understand famous species such as Allosaurus and Diplodocus even better. And many of these sites are under threat. Trump's plan cuts out over 400 fossil sites from protections granted under monument status. Carboniferous, Permian, and Triassic fossil-bearing sites are almost entirely removed from the sites, and early Cretaceous rocks are similarly hit, leading to the breakup of almost 100 million years of Earth's history. These cuts lead to the loss of our Permian-Triassic boundary, of our Triassic-Jurassic boundary, of the mammal fossils which I mentioned earlier, and of very unique parts of the Kaibab Formation. These cuts are very significant to science, and the effects of this are already being felt. Last month, a new find of phytosaurs, a relative to crocodilians, was announced in areas that are no longer protected under Bears Ears National Monument. These fossils already showed signs of looting, and is damaging to the scientific integrity. As paleontologists have only just discovered these sites, it seems likely that other sites may also be undiscovered, at least by scientists. And without the protection of the monuments, it makes it more likely that these undiscovered sites will be damaged or looted by the finders. However, looting is a bit of a minor worry compared to another worry, mining. Internal emails from the Department of the Interior show that one of the main reasons for the cuts to these monuments was to encourage mining in the area, and particularly for shale oil. There are two ways to extract shale oils, the first of which is hydraulic fracking, which has already been proven to be a controversial practice in many of the states where it's been started, such as Oklahoma, where the U.S. Geological Survey has shown that it's likely the cause of an increase in earthquakes since the practice started. Major criticisms of fracking also include the potential damage to water supply, as the wastewater and chemical slurry that is used to help extract the oil is pumped back into the cracks as a way of storing it so that it doesn't have to be hauled away. This wastewater then has the potential to keep expanding through cracks in the rocks and potentially contaminate drinkable water sources, endangering communities nearby. The second method of shale oil extraction requires moving of large amounts of shale to a refining factory. This form of extraction inherently requires massive mines to be built, often open pit mines, which destroy the landscape and with the use of heavy machinery has incredible potential to destroy fossils across many of these sites. This use of heavy machinery raises significant risk to fossils, as they are very likely to damage things, as heavy machinery and drill bits have a tendency to break things. As of right now, the Bureau of Land Management is still accepting comments on what to do with the lands that are being cut from the parks. You have until March 19th, 2018 to fill out your request and get your comment into the Bureau of Land Management. We have the link below, so please comment now before it is too late. Additionally, 5 Native American tribes call Bears Ears National Monument and parts of Grand Staircase-Escalante National Monument their ancestral lands and are now suing the Trump administration for the dangers posed to these ancestral lands. Nature and wilderness groups, including the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, are also suing the Trump administration. Their donation link is below as well. Finally, call your representatives or email them. Let your voice be heard. Let your representatives know that you want to protect our public lands, our fossil heritage, and the Native American ancestral lands, which are housed in these monuments. Please take action, as we cannot allow these drilling and mining operations to open up on the land. We need to show that the burning passion for science is stronger than the burning of coal. If you want more updates on what's happening with Bears Ears and Grand Staircase-Escalante monuments, you can follow me at Raptor_chatter on Twitter. Or you can follow some of the groups I've mentioned here, including the Protect Bears Ears movement and Monuments for All on Twitter. Please get the word out there about these monuments so that we can protect our national lands and our fossil heritage. Thank you, be safe, don't go extinct, take care.